Today we're here with Stephen.
Happy 100.
That's right. It's our 100th episode, and we have brought back Shelley from Conquest Journals.
Hello.
So, Shelley, we know that you have had a lot of movement going on. So why don't you introduce yourself, your house, and let's go with your favorite magical creature.
Okay. I am Shelley Harper. I am one of the owners of Conquest Journals. We're an officially licensed brand with Warner Brothers for Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, Supernatural, Friends, Rick and Morty, all kinds of things. Our biggest brand is Harry Potter. I am a Slytherin, and I own it, even though I was kind of like upset at first, but I own it now because that's what's given me my ambition. And my favorite magical creature, I have to say Buckbeak. I mean, majestic and fabulous, and
So since we've last talked, you have a lot of new products that have come out. So we're just going to dive in and start talking, because one of the things I've been seeing a lot of lately is your travel journals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's actually a really interesting story, because the travel journal is a good 5 years in the making. When we were first licensed with Supernatural, because we were doing Supernatural conventions and so forth. And then we were given the opportunity to pitch for Harry Potter. And we did. Part of that pitch was a travel journal for when you go to Universal. And it was, like I was thinking of like a spiral, kind of a smash book situation. And we pitched that originally, not realizing that sort of the consumer goods group is completely different from like the theme parks group. And so once we were awarded the license, I was like, okay, let's make this travel book. And, it was like, oh, no, you have to go talk to these people over here. And we did. But what they were first interested in were actually our planners. So our first planners that we made, one of the very first two products we made for Harry Potter was our 2019 planner. And that was sold in the parks. And that was really exciting. But we thought, okay, now we can make a travel journal. It still wasn't, I don't know if it wasn't the right construction we were thinking of or whatever. But being a planner person, I really got into that whole community of decorative planning, and they have what they call traveler notebooks or TNs. And a lot of people do their planning in those because they can go in their purse and everything. And I was like, we need to make like a for real travel journal that people who want to plan can use it, and people who want to scrapbook their trips to the Wizarding World can have that and make it into this really cool thing. So it took a long time, obviously. And the first couple of versions, we used artwork that we weren't allowed to use because it was like for, packaging or a store display or something. So then we had to like start all over. And we find that a lot of times our first initial thought, and we think, oh, this is going to be so cool, we have to go down this path, and then we end up somewhere even better. And so that's how we came up with the travel journal. So we're selling it directly on our website and on Amazon, and it's going in Barnes & Noble stores. So we just shipped them out last week to the Barnes & Noble store. So we're super excited about that. And, I hope that Barnes & Noble customers love them and embrace them, So I don't know how long it'll take them to get them out on the shelves. The whole world's under a shipping crisis. So we just don't know.
Well, speaking of infrastructure crises, although one for the positive, I think, if Instagram tells me enough, is since the last time we talked, which the dear listeners will know was episode 38 back in September of 2020, as crazy as that is to say, you've had some updates on your end in terms of your physical space and Yeah, for lack of better phrasing.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Well, a lot of companies use what's referred to as a 3PL, which is a third-party logistics partner, which is basically an offsite warehouse that warehouses your products and ships your products. And we found ourselves in a situation in fourth quarter where we needed to find someplace new very quickly. So we just decided to take the leap and find a warehouse in my town of Indianapolis. And we found one in like 5 days. And we moved in the next week. And I mean, it was crazy. And the guy it's like a family-owned business park that we're in. And like, I know anyway, the owners, and it's this really cool kind of vibe down there. There's like a brewery down the street, and there's a jungle gym place next door. I don't know. It's just really cool. And I don't think that we ever imagined that we would have like our own warehouse and office facility. But now that we do, it's like, it makes sense. It feels like we should have done it, all along, because we're in complete control of our stuff now,
So 2 questions then.
Mm-hmm.
Question 1 is, do you, and it sounds like you do, granted this is all in its infancy still, so maybe it's a TBD, but do you feel more of a connection to or compassion for the local business community now that you're physically part of it in terms of having, warehouse space there where you didn't before? And then question 2 is, I see you have a time turner around your neck. Is that how you're doing all of this? Because
Yes.
This sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it's my Alex and Annie time turner. Yes, I am using it all the time. And, pretty soon I'm going to look really freaked out like Hermione did. I think I grew up, I'm a 4th generation business owner. My great grandma had her own greenhouses of women business owners. And we are now a majority women business owned business, which we just made official as of January 1. So that's really exciting. So I always felt or understood that local business community perspective, but definitely it gives me like, okay, now we have roots here. Now I can really try to start getting more involved in the community, because my business partner, one of my business partner, Ted, he lives in, out by Seattle, and Tracy, our creative director, she's in Ohio, and I'm in Indiana. So we didn't really feel like we had that space, and our warehouse formerly was outside of Chicago. So now it's like, it's here. And it's great to have that. It's really great to have that space. It's harder. We work a lot more, obviously. I'm not working from home anymore, so I'm going down to the office all the time and putting in hours there. But it feels better, it feels good.
Do you feel that with the move to having your own warehouse space, like what do you see for the future of Conquest Journals? Like, do you have plans? Do you want to expand, or are you still not sure since it's so new?
Well, yeah, it's so it's so new. I think right now we're just we'd really like to get to a point where we don't feel like we're always behind with our product development and manufacturing. And since we're more and more in control of our own destiny, where that comes from, we're able to plan it out more. That being said, I think one of the advantages is being as small as we are, that we can see like, oh, this looks like a trend, let's make that. And, I think other bigger organizations, they have to look, 2 years out. They've, and we're like, no, we feel like doing this. Okay, everybody, we're going to do this now instead. And so that's cool. So we kind of are, we fly a little bit by the seat of our pants. So I can't say we have a path definitely planned out, but we want to continue to grow. We want to continue to even add more licenses. We have another license we're going to be able to announce really soon, hopefully. And, we want to be able to add more, obviously more distribution. I mean, that's how we're going to get bigger. We have our family and our business, and now we have a warehouse, and, we have a director of ops. We have people to, support and everything. So we're just going to try to keep expanding that. And if we grow out of this warehouse space, great. It's, we took my mom there for the first time. She lives in a retirement community here in town now. And we took her to see it last weekend for the first time. And she was like, oh, this is so impressive. And it was so wonderful for her to say. But then she goes, how long is it going to take you to sell all this stuff? And I was like, oh, we don't know. We hope not too long. Thanks, Mother.
Moms.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was a wonderful moment, but then it was also like, oh, yeah.
Speaking for Stephen, he would like you to add a Court of Thorns and Roses IP as a future consideration with Hulu.
No. We're thinking bigger than that. Don't go for the series. Go for the author.
Oh,
Get
Sarah
all
J. Maas.
licensing right. Get all licensing rights for all of her properties, not just the one series.
No, I know. I'm obsessed with her. My daughter is. Although we're now reading, we haven't started Crescent City, but we're now reading Jennifer Armentrout. So also really good.
Was that a book recommendation on this episode?
Yes, it is. The series starts with, oh my gosh. I can see the book cover in my head right now. It's Jennifer Armentrout. And it's like, everybody is who's listening to this is going to be like, flesh of blah, blah, blah. It's flesh of something, but it's really good.
Listeners, when you're listening to this episode, help us out. Just comment on the episode on Instagram. Let us know. Let Danny know, not me, because I won't remember.
From Blood and Ash series.
Thank you for Blood and Ash. It's not flesh.
Flesh, ash,
whatever. Blood and Ash, but it's very similar. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Google.
Thank you, Google. Oh, it's really good too. We really love that. So we kind of jumped from Sarah J. Maas over to that, and we're digging it too.
Well, I'll add that to my list. I'm finishing Throne of Glass and then headed to Crescent City since the new one comes out as of recording tomorrow.
Yes, I know. We were going to do Crescent City as well, and it took me too long to finish up the last Jennifer Armentrout, so my daughter was annoyed. So,
do you see yourselves still heading to conventions, since that is kind of where you guys, that is where you guys started?
So it's funny you should mention that. The supernatural conventions put on by Creation Entertainment are really the only ones we do anymore. And we haven't done any of them. The last one we did, you guys, was like March 8th of 2020. It was literally like 5 days before the shutdown, right?
Yeah.
And we were all kind of in Vegas and freaked out. Yeah, it was. So they're going to Vegas again at the beginning of March. And I'm just not ready to hop into Las Vegas yet,
It's a big jump.
So they're actually having an Indianapolis convention the first weekend in April. So that's the first one that we're going to be at, since it's like my hometown, and our friends are going to come in for it, and Ted will be here, so we'll have lots of help, and we'll be able to just drive our stuff downtown from our warehouse, which is amazing. So funny story, how we have to get our product because it's too expensive to have the hotels accept your boxes, and it's too expensive to use like the convention drayage services, right? So, I mean, Ted and I have done so many crazy things, but what we usually do is we ship FedEx to a FedEx office, because they don't charge you. I mean, they don't charge a receiving or holding fee. It's just the FedEx shipping ground charges. And then we rent a van and go pick it up. And we save, probably $1,000 doing that. So wow. We've done that before. Actually, when we used to do New York Comic Con, we did that. We did that in New York City, and we tricked an SUV Uber driver to pick us up. He was like parked on the street in downtown Manhattan, and we're shoving boxes in the back of his truck. And he was like, "What's happening?" And we're like, "Oh, just another minute. We've got 5 more boxes." Yeah, the things we have done to get our stuff to conventions is pretty crazy. But so Indianapolis, I think, is a good one to start with, and then we'll see how it goes from there. The thing about conventions, they really take us out of the office and out of running the business. We're so small that we're the ones, running it. So if we're at a 4-day convention or out of the office for like 4 or 5 days, everything kind of stops, So, yeah.
I'm curious if over the past 2 years now of this just delightful global pandemic, right, your thoughts, as you said, somewhat in jest, right? You kind of just do this as you go, and there's not a ton of forethought, although there is, right? Listeners, that was a joke to some extent.
Yeah.
Obviously buying a warehouse impacts a lot of, operational decisions, certainly, but I'm curious from a creative perspective, how your mindset has shifted over the past couple of years, if at all.
Yeah. Well, ironically, the pandemic hit about the same time when we were actually having a huge challenge in our business with the pricing from the factories and with our house planners that we made, and they didn't sell as well as we had hoped. And we kind of had on the docket to make some school agendas that we were hoping that Hot Topic would pick up. And part of the problem when you're selling wholesale is you're making stuff and retailers won't necessarily commit before you actually go to production. And you can't wait because then you miss your cycle or your opportunity or whatever. So we were going to make these school agendas, and Hot Topic was going to take a really small, a pretty small buy. And we all talked about it. And then the pandemic hit, and we were like, wait a minute. We don't even know if there's going to be a school year this year, right? So again, and that's another reason why it's really good to be agile. I really loved those agendas, and it broke my heart. And I had to be like talked out of doing them. Like, Shelley, we don't know what school is going to look like. And, especially when you love your products so much, it's like, oh, I don't want to not make these. I don't want to not make. We even had pre-production samples already. And we said, no, we're going to nix it. And we're going to find something that we can buy in some smaller quantities and sell direct, because retailers are shutting down everywhere, and things that we can put on Amazon. And that's when, and I had already been to the National Stationery Show in New York that prior January, and saw that notepads were really on the rise as far as a new stationery trend. And so we decided to try notepads, and we were able to do that. We decided to try them in March. We had them hitting our store by May. And that's, and I had them like printed here in town at a local printer before we went to a big factory and whatnot. So, I think that the pandemic, it did change what we were doing, but we changed what we're doing frequently. You know what I mean? I mean, that's how we're able to be so responsive and come up with things that other people haven't done before. We're like, okay, notepads. And that was absolutely a great move. The other thing that we did, probably since I've talked to you guys, is really launched the decal business. And that has been incredible. That was all Ted's idea. He was like, do you know how many decals people sell on Amazon? He's like, do you know how many decals people sell on Amazon? And a lot of them were unlicensed. And so we jumped in the market. Warner Brothers has been super supportive of, helping us to monitor the unlicensed infringers on Amazon. And we're able to launch our, decal packs with great success. So it's like that small, inexpensive, those notepads, those decals. Those are the great things that allow us to be able to make the bigger things, like the photo album and the travel journal, that are a lot more expensive. And, they sell slower than the small $10 items, right? So
I will say it was a great choice.
Yay. I know. I love it.
I am a notepad addict. Also, one of your, I think I commented on one of your Facebook posts on this one, but the first description line of your decal pack is, if sarcasm is your love language, for the snarky decal pack. I'm like, yes.
Yes. Oh,
that is one of my favorites of all your sets.
We had such a great time making the snarky decal pack as our first really unlicensed thing that's just us. And all of us were throwing out our favorite snarky things to say. And, the one decal, my GPA won't matter when I'm in hell. I put that decal all over my son's package because he's in college and sent that to him. I think they're just awesome. And they're some of our favorite phrases and sayings. It's what do we want to decorate our water bottles with? This, So yeah. I love those decals.
It's amazing to me, because stickers were never something I was into, and I'm still not into. I have some, and they end up on my bulletin board because I'm also well, I like it, I don't want to stick it somewhere. But people love decals. It's
crazy. And that's another thing that's kind of funny, because at this point, our decals are all just through us and through Amazon, Amazon Prime. The retailers, I reach out to them, I go, you guys, these are guaranteed sellers, seriously. And we can't really figure out why they're not. Can you imagine the Harry Potter decals at checkout at, Books A Million or Barnes?
You just put it right by that cash register, they'll go. I bought books that way, which are more expensive than stickers.
Exactly. I don't think they'd be able to keep them stocked, but whatever, I just keep trying, and, I don't know. We're so happy though. We're so happy with their success, and we love making them too. They're so fun. And when I get a new decal pack, I'm like, and I redo my laptop, and then I take a bunch of pictures. Yeah. I didn't mean to scream into your podcast.
You're okay. You're excited about your product. That is a good sign for any business owner, is that you're still excited about the things you are creating.
Yeah. To go back to that school agenda story, we took the supernatural school agenda, and that's what just now became our undated agenda. So we were able to make it after all. 2 years later, but we had the murder board design basically all laid out. She just had to, resize it and zhuzh it up a little bit. And I still love, I get, when we get our samples in, or when I see the artwork, Tracy's working on our 2023 planner now.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm pretty sure that all of the other planner companies made theirs last summer. So that shows you how we do things. Whatever. So anyway, she's just finishing it up, and I am so excited for this planner. I cannot even tell you. And it's really cool. So when I see it, and there's another super secret product that I can't tell you guys about yet, but that's going to launch really soon. And how can I put this? When I got it out of the package and used it, is that the right way to say it? I took pictures, and I told Tracy that I got goosebumps. And, we worked on that for 3 months, but see it. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it now. I'm so excited for it. It's just the coolest thing ever. And totally new, something we've never done before. And I am so excited for it. And I really hope everybody loves it as much as we do, because it's really cool.
Is there an estimated release of the super secret project?
Well, I have been constantly messaging Ted over the last few days, because I have our production schedule, and I'm like, I don't know when this is landing. When is this landing? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I'll check. I'm like, oh my God, because I really want to, start teasing it, but I don't want to do it too soon.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, they're like, oh, go ahead and show it. I'm like, no. We can't show it until people can order it. You lose all the buzz around it, all the excitement.
People want to order it right then when they see it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I'm not very patiently waiting for it.
Wow.
And based on the success of this one, then other versions are already approved and ready to go if this one is successful.
Danny, do you have any idea? Because I don't.
In my head, I'm just going, Paula will post about it at some point.
Well, sure.
I'm like, Paula's going to make some cute reel about it.
Oh, I know. Oh, Paula is the best. Oh my God. I am so fortunate. I say to Ted all the time, thank God she does all the plan with me's, because like I do my planner every week as well, but I don't always spend the time to sit there and record it. Like I just do it at my desk real quick and then I'm ready to go. Right. And I'm like, she is just fantastic because she does a plan with me every week and I can repost it. Yay. Yeah.
She does your work for you. We're good.
She does. It's very wonderful. I appreciate her very much. I keep sending her product. Here, Paula, if you want to use it, feel free. Here. Yeah.
You look like you had a comment, Stephen.
No, it's like a riddle. Not like a riddle. It is a riddle.
He's trying to figure it out.
I got goosebumps. And if it goes well, other.
Have you guys been seeing my reels recently?
I've seen some of them.
Danny definitely has. I only watch TikToks for cats, and I don't really even know how to access reels on Instagram. So
I totally understand. It's okay. Danny, I've been talking about, let's see, what can I tell you? It's going to be it's in the lobby. It's in the lobby.
Okay. So now I'm going to be like staring at it, going through everything.
I know. Oh my God. What did I show? I'm like, okay, you won't get it. You won't get it from the reels because I was pretty careful and it doesn't go on a shelf.
Oh, that makes it harder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You should really write a riddle and see who can guess. You should just have a riddle posted and see if anyone guesses your new product before you, like 2 days before you start sharing photos. Just do a riddle like similar to in Sorcerer's Stone with the potion bottles.
Yes.
Just like rip off a page of like a notepad each day with a different clue.
Yes. Yes.
A week of leading up, and people, especially Ravenclaws, would be like, do you know what this is? Do you have any idea?
The problem is I don't know that I'm sneaky enough. I feel like I'd probably like give it away on like day 2 or even day 1, like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'll have to run it by Tracy, our creative director, because she'll be like, no, Shelley, you can't say that. And I'll be like,
you just need one of those people that has those minds that will be like, no, that'll give it away.
Oh, my son's a Ravenclaw. I'll have him help me. I'll be like, Joe, I need 4 riddles for this new product.
And they each have to stand alone for 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah. He's an engineer. He'll be able to figure it out. You know.
We are excited to see what is to come.
Yeah, I think that we did a lot of really big projects last year with the photo album, the travel journal, the new hardback journals. And now we're looking at, of course, we're keeping the planners going, of course. But I think one of our goals is to make things in like all price ranges, obviously. And another goal, and this is also a clue in the riddle, the thing that makes me happiest is to be as immersed in the world as I can be and like living a Harry Potter life. That's kind of our, that's our goal. It's not, well, we have to make, a new photo album, or we have to do this, or we have to do that. It is living that Harry Potter life. What can we make to make you feel like you're more in the world?
So with your IP, do you just have Harry Potter and not Fantastic Beasts?
We do have Fantastic Beasts. And we did, when we try a new license, we start with decals because they're cheap and they're a guaranteed seller, right? Yeah. They're going to sell. So just like everything, we started with decals, Fantastic Beasts. And the problem, and they just, We did Friends decals and they're starting to pick up some steam. We did Rick and Morty decals and those are getting stronger. I mean, Rick and Morty is probably only going to be a decal business because, I don't think that the Rick and Morty crowd is really a journaling crowd, right? I mean, that's my son's crowd. So he's not gonna carry around a Pickle Rick journal. He's just not going to. So, but he'll put a decal on his water bottle or whatever. So Fantastic Beasts, it's tragic because they have the most beautiful assets, you guys. I mean, the artwork is outstanding. And I feel like they were given more, that Warner Brothers was probably given more license with creativity with the Fantastic Beasts piece of it. So it's like you almost want to make stuff, but just to use that beautiful art. But if you put the Fantastic Beast moniker on it, it's not going to sell as well.
Yeah.
So, and we have to, with the size that we are, we can't afford to make something that's not going to move, We've talked about, in the past, we had talked about doing a Fantastic Beast planner. We had actually designed some field journals because they have some great assets like showing Newt's animal creature notes. Really cool. But, they didn't get approved and we were like, okay, we're not going to keep grinding that wheel because we don't know that there's a market for them anyway, unfortunately.
No. And it's been such a long time in between movies. It's kind of like how Doctor Who slowly loses fans because it just takes forever to get the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, plus, I mean, look at what they did.
Yeah, that too.
I mean,
there's other things, but there's been so much time in between the last two seasons that we're just, now we're still waiting. We're like, when are you going to announce the next Doctor?
I know. I feel the same way about Doctor Who. And I did not stick with it through Capaldi. I did, I think, the first season. And then I dropped off like, 90% of the fans did. But for Fantastic Beasts, I'm really looking forward to, the Dumbledore movie. I'm really excited about it. Secrets of Dumbledore. I hope that will kind of revive that piece of the franchise a little bit.
I'm going with cautiously optimistic. That is my phrase.
Me too. Cautiously optimistic. I feel like, and I don't know if this is going to be super controversial, because I just reread the books over and over again. So I finished the series. It's like my nighttime, like go to sleep comfort read. Mm-hmm. So when I finish, I just start over again. And one thing, I'm on Order of the Phoenix, and it just drives me crazy because I really wish that we did have some of the books from Dumbledore's perspective. What the heck was he doing? What was he thinking? I mean, what? And, sometimes I'm like, well, he was probably really busy trying to figure out what was going on with, Voldemort. But yeah, I'm hoping, and I'm thinking that a lot of Harry Potter fans are going to hope that we get some insight into Dumbledore's character a little bit more with this movie. I think that's what's compelling about it, maybe,
And Jude Law.
Well, and Jude Law.
Just throwing it out there.
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Yeah. I love those memes. Like going from Jude Law to Richard Harris.
like what happened? Like a pandemic probably happened. Some pandemic happened that we're not aware of.
Yeah. 100%.
One more question in regards to your planners.
Mm-hmm.
Have you felt a need to adapt them in any way when the switch happened to virtual learning?
No, because I feel like our planners are enough of an open canvas that people can use them however they want. When I first wanted to get into the planner business, I looked at and did research on all of the various planner formats. And I knew that I wanted to be able to do decorative planning with it. And I knew that the most popular layout of for that type of hobby is the vertical format with the 3 boxes. I wanted us to be as compatible with the big guys as we could be. So if people were, and we've changed our like box sizes over the years. We took away the lines from the bottom. We've been doing various different things to make it more and more adaptable to all of the different planner companies and accessories, because we want anybody to be able to use them. One of my friends said, what if I don't want to have Harry Potter, for all the weeks of the year? And I'm like, well, I feel like you could decorate our pages with anything. They're not so Harry Potter that you can't adapt them, I guess. So I don't know. So I think from what I've seen, and we do have people ask us for teacher planners and academic planners. And I sure wish we could make all of those. And we talk about, my daughter's a teacher, right? So, but we talk about how the Harry Potter fans are a niche, and the planner community of Harry Potter fans is a niche within the niche. And the teachers that are Harry Potter fans that are planners are a niche within a niche within a niche. And I know there's a market for it, but the big guys do so great with the teacher planners, and there are a lot of big ones out there. And it's like, that'd be a really big investment for our size company. Yeah. So someday, I hope we can grow big enough someday where we say, oh, we have so many teachers who would love this. Let's do it. That would be my dream, for us to be able to do some of those other products that right now we just can't afford to invest in.
Well, just start small now that you're officially an Indianapolis local business.
Yeah.
Right? Find some Montessori or school system or whoever, right? And become the official local provider, and that gets some buzz and the Indianapolis Dispatch Courier Journal. And, next thing you know, you're regional. Next thing you know, you're across the state, the whole Midwest, the whole country, the world.
It's that easy.
It's just like, why didn't I think of that before?
That's what I'm saying.
What have I been doing? I don't know. I've been spinning my wheels trying to get in, Barnes and Noble. What the heck?
Every time we have a small business, or in this case, much bigger than small business, on the podcast, I give out free ideas. And every time kid you not, I've had multiple people come back and say, I took that idea and that's a product we're launching next month. And it's maybe not necessarily something that has to go through a full warehouse, and it's usually something that's done in their living room late at night that they craft. So like a little bit different economy of scale, but hey.
Yeah. You're only talking about a, $15,000, $20,000 investment to do that with the
Pocket
school.
change.
So you know what? Pocket change.
If you start charging Paula for all the things you're sending her, you can make that in like a month.
Paula, oh my gosh. No.
Paula's gonna quit the podcast for him giving that advice right now.
I know. I'll never stop sending her stuff.
No, we love Paula.
We love Paula. She's so awesome. I really love the Instagram Harry Potter community. Like, I didn't, when I started following you guys and, Paula and Karina and Megan and everybody, I was like, God, look at all these fun people. Oh, they're so cool. Look, like living the Harry Potter life. And they've been so accepting and kind and generous and supportive. It's just been so awesome. We are so lucky. That we got to know all you guys, or that I got to know all you guys. I really appreciate it. I don't think there's any, Ted and I have talked before, and of course we want to diversify and add other licenses, but there's nothing like Harry Potter out there.
Yeah, the community is very specific.
It is.
Not to deflate that incredibly sweet sentiment, but I do know in the recesses of my mind that the paper is the Indianapolis Star. I'm not sure why it took me about 10 seconds in my head to get to it, but listeners, rest assured I got to it.
No, I regularly see people in the parks with your things getting pictures.
That makes me so happy. it is, so it's good to see the Instagram community loving on us and sharing that because, when I'm out there in the real world and, I pitch them the decals or I pitch something else and they go, that's not for us. And I'm like, there's a lot of rejection in the business. So it's wonderful to have our friends.
We love seeing your product in the parks and in bookstores, and we may or may not move your product to the front of things in bookstores.
Thank you.
We also love seeing your products online. Insert plug for where online people can find your products here.
ConquestJournal.com. We have a specific link to our Harry Potter shop on the homepage.
I'm just going to be obsessively refreshing the website for the next year until the Sarah J. Maas section comes up. Oh. And then it's just going to be one of everything.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
Because
the ACOTAR got optioned for a TV series and it's not even in development yet. It's still in pre-production.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a while, but there's
Get
money
in
to be
now.
had there.
I know.
And what's funny about her books is they came out, some of them came out back in 2015.
George R. R. Martin's books came out in the 80s.
Yeah. Yes, but it's just all of a sudden, I really hadn't heard of her. I had heard of 1% Reddit, and then all of a sudden, everyone. I blame Rachel.
I blame Rachel. Rachel also, through friends of hers, got me into this Instagram read-along group for House of Sky and Breath, where there's going to be sub Instagram message groups and chats, and my style is to stay up until I finish the book the day I get it. So I don't know how I'm going to do with pacing myself.
Yeah.
But we're gonna try.
Are you gonna give it a try?
Yeah, you didn't. Well, I attended her live stream the other night.
Oh.
Rachel had a live stream where she and two friends were discussing House of Earth and Blood, the first book in Crescent City, and I followed the two other people. I'm not sure why we're talking about this on the podcast. We can cut all this out. But
and I have questions. Go ahead. I have questions. Go ahead.
And one of them put in her story, would anyone be interested in a read-along group or whatever? I was like, sure, why not? And then I got thrown into this very intense message group where there's a lot of people. And some people ordered 4 copies. One's the collector edition. One's the limited edition. One's the travel edition. And one's their personal reader copy. And look, I've got 400 Harry Potter books behind this wall. I get it. But it's holy crap.
Yeah. And I do the same thing, but I usually do a Kindle version and a hardback version. And then if there's a signed version, I may do that too. So I may do 3, but
and occasionally audio.
Well, yes. And that depends on the book. And I will.
And the narrator.
I will admit that Midnight Sun is one of those books that happened for me. Whatever. But
Ready Player One is mine. I have it on all formats.
I have Ready Player One, audio, and Kindle, but I didn't ever get an actual book copy. Isn't that strange? I just now thought about it. Okay, so going back to Crescent City, how does that compare from a likability perspective to ACOTAR or Throne of Glass?
I'll give my perspective, Danny, and then you can. Well, you haven't read Crescent City, have you?
I've started it.
Okay, so it's a very different read. Throne of Glass and ACOTAR feel of similar aesthetics because they're both fairly medieval in terms of setting. They both have a similar plot. I think the biggest difference is Crescent City is set in fairly modern times. It's a city with skyscrapers, and it almost reads to me like a Dublin, kind of there's an old part of the city, and so that's a big difference. I think the other thing I would say, it's modern. The protagonist is a party girl, and you get a lot more depth about her as you go. But that's the whole premise of the book, is this party girl thrust into a thing rather than a girl of fate who comes from a village or comes from a prison, so yeah. Danny?
Think about that, because I really like the fantasy aesthetic. I like is more of that medieval aesthetic. My daughter and I are rereading the His Fair Assassin series from Robin Lefevre. Have you guys
book to add to the list? Damn it! I can't keep buying books.
His Fair Assassin is the series. They are the saint or the god of death. They're his handmaidens, Saint Mortain. It's so interesting because they're assassins but it's like fantasy. Yeah, those are really good books. So we're rereading those right now. And I really like this. So I don't know if I haven't read fantasy in a more modern aesthetic. It doesn't read dystopian, does it?
No.
Okay, good. Well, I'll give it a try because I do love her. And, I read all the dystopian books and then I was like, I don't think I ever want to read dystopian again,
Yeah, it inches closer to like the Capital District of Hunger Games than a lot of things, just because it's a very polished city and there's castes and there's this subgroup that lives on the outskirts and you don't mess with them, and
yeah,
but it's not like it's the story seems to be unfolding in a very similar trope to ACOTAR and Throne of Glass,
okay,
but just set in a completely different manner. Tweaking kind of some of the different pulleys of what makes the protagonist so compelling.
That's interesting. Okay.
From what I've read, I would agree with that. And I think that might be why it's been harder to get into it.
Yep,
because
that one took me the longest to get into
it's
of like the 3
also
series.
A lot wordier. Like in a way of like comparing like how Harry Potter reads to how Lord of the Rings reads.
Oh.
Not as crazy as Lord of the Rings, but like a bit.
You could kill someone with the first Crescent City book.
Okay. Yeah.
Like there's a lot of meat to it, and so it was like I started reading it at night, and I'm like, this is a lot for right before bed.
Because Throne of Glass, the first couple of books she wrote when she was like a teenager,
right?
Like that one matures in terms of the writing quality as you go. ACOTAR is kind of like the magnum opus.
Right.
This one, it's great. It is jarring how different it's. Look, there are so many things where I'm texting with our friend Rachel where I'm like, oh my God, this thing that happened in chapter 7, that's just like from ACOTAR. It's the exact, different world and different interpretation of how it happens, but it's the exact same thing. And, there's a lot of that. So there are tethers to like what you love about the other two that better there.
Okay. Well, and I think we're going to give it a try anyway, just because, it's Sarah J. Maas, but I gave Haley, I think that's my daughter. I gave her the most recent Robin Lefevre book in the Assassin series, like last fall. So she was like, I want to reread and read this book. So I'm just rereading with her before we hop onto Crescent City.
And you have to read Crescent City because if you're going to have the license, you better understand all the
I know. I better have them all, right?
We're speaking this into existence right now.
I know. And
the more we say it, the more likely it's going to happen.
I want you guys to take notes about any journals or notebooks that any of the characters might use. I can't recall any being used, but that's where we love to dig in.
Like, see, I think the issue, not the issue, but especially with ACOTAR, it's a lot heavier on the color aesthetics and like the geographic vibes, and that's how you build, physical asset.
Elaine might be a journaler. We don't have her. She seems like the type.
Yeah, and then certainly in Throne of Glass as well, it's a lot more of the magic plays a lot heavier in Throne of Glass than does in ACOTAR, right? And so for that, there's a lot of fire and ice and wind, and those certainly have their own.
Well, Shelley, thank you again for coming back and joining us. This was so much fun to catch up.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let me ask this. This is actually a great question because I am so ignorant of how to actually get my life in order in many different forms.
Okay.
As I am moving into my new house in the next couple of weeks here, I am going to have a lot of different things going on, be it my normal 9-to-5 job, this podcast that Danny keeps throwing on my plate every other night.
It's your fault.
It really is her fault. And then just the litany of unpacking and projects and things around the house. Is there anything you'd recommend of yours, of course, not of other people's, because we don't promote the competition, that would help me keep myself sane over the next handful of months?
Yes, I would absolutely say that you should get a travel journal because it has an undated planner in it. It has weeks and months, and then it also has a line journal for all of your notes. So and it comes with binder clips. So you binder clip your note page, you binder clip your planner page, and it's like this big to-do list. It's perfect. So you could use the to-do list for like work, and then you could use, this one for your move or what have you. I'll send you one.
See, this is where we get into the psychology of Stephen, which is, I think it's helpful for the listeners and for you and for everyone. Maybe it's helpful for nobody and we end up cutting this as well. But, I had the classic planner in middle school and high school, and it was just anathema to me because it was always things that your parents had to sign or assignments that you didn't want to do because you wanted to go play with your friends. And then I had a job that was not my favorite job, and I had an end date finally. And instead of having a normal countdown on my phone or on a computer with like an app, I just took sticky notes and I wrote the number on like 255. That was the number. 255 stickies and just pulled them each day. So like that's where I'm coming from like an organizational planning perspective.
You hurt our soul.
Danny, you knew me on the back end of that. You may remember those.
I know, but that just hurts. I do remember it because I would get updates.
Yeah.
But it still hurts.
No. This is small. It's not very big. Ted uses it. Ted's not going to use one of our big heavy spiral planners, but he will use this. And this is what he's carrying with him now and what he's using to plan. So when I say that, I mean, only a very small portion of it is really reserved for like scrapbooking. You don't even have to use that booklet. It's just a great journal to carry around and keep all your stuff in. And there's a little zipper pouch in the back that you can put all of your receipts and stuff from your move to take off on your taxes later.
Well, I will for sure be going to Conquest Journals on Instagram, conquestjournals.com, to check that out and to buy some more fun things. Because, like, hey, this house is going to be very aesthetically pleasing and fandom themed. So, like, putting different little, like in the guest room, having like a little notepad there, like at a hotel, lots of different things. And assuming neither of us is dead by the end of that stay, we'll both gladly enjoy.
You know what?
It may get turned into the guest book you sign at the funeral.
Yeah. Oh, well, if you had a joint funeral, I'd make sure to send a photo album that you could use.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you. The funeral is catered by McKilton's Pub on 15th.
That's right.
The paper products are supplied by Conquest Journals.
Oh, exactly. I'd have a little sign.
There you
courtesy
go.
Of
QR code to your site.
Yeah, conquestjournal.com. Exactly. Any opportunity.
And the special code is like something.
I'll put a QR code on it.
CMP funeral. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, get a discount.
Oh, God. All right. Danny, end the episode.
That's so disturbing and funny, and I love it.
I'm curious, Danny, one of the things that came up during this conversation, and I believe from last time we spoke with Shelley too, is that she's a fourth generation business owner. If you had your own business that sold a tangible product, right? Like an actual something you can hold in your hand, sell in a store, not like a podcast, right? What would you be a purveyor of?
You already know this, but it's kind of morphed because I showed my mom the building I'm in love with this weekend. Not that she supports me opening anything. I would have a bookstore, but it would also have like a wine bar. So we'd get our alcohol license and liquor license with the bookstore. You're giving me a weird look.
Would it be called Clams Corner?
No. More creative than that.
Corner of Clams?
Clams have nothing to do with books.
They have everything to do with you, though. You're the owner of the bookstore, though.
I am, but I would love to have my own bookstore that did like book groups and random events, and it was like a place for people to meet up and not just go and buy books, but to like engage with each other.
That is correct. So
what business would you open?
I don't know. I thought of this question midway through the conversation, and I've not been able to come up with an answer.
Well, if you don't have an answer, I'm putting you to work, and you can handle like coffee or something of the stuff I don't know in the bookstore.
Well, no, look, I'd be damn good at coffee. We would just contract out to Dunkin', and it'd be the best coffee shop in the state of Florida. I am very particular, hard as it may be to believe for anybody who knows me or has seen my home. My home is neat. Let me be clear about that.
I can say that.
It's a very different type of neat from how I organize my desk when I'm in an office. I don't know exactly what shape it would take, but I would I would have some form of a very aesthetically pleasing, tailored, clean, like desk organizer. And it wouldn't just be one of those stupid like trio of shelves that you put manila folders on. No,
like the in and out baskets gotta go.
Yeah, no, like I don't know how to explain exactly what I want, but I am look, I haven't been at a desk in an office since February of 2020, but I am very particular about how my desk feels. And so I would have something like that, which is a very niche thing and a terrible business to open because it's not super applicable to a lot of people. I understand that. But in terms of the product, that's the first product that came to mind. Maybe not the best business idea, but certainly the first product I could think of. The other thing I could think of, something I have said for years, and I have to imagine it exists in some way, shape, or form. I am a consumer of essential oils thanks to a ex-girlfriend of mine from college who loved them. And that's one of the few things, along with years of depression, that stuck from that relationship. So I do not say this judgmentally, but generally speaking, essential oils seem to be catered more towards stereotypically female scent preferences.
I would agree.
Lavender, eucalyptus, other floral scents, etc. I've always said, how cool would it be to have essential oils that smell like chocolate chip cookies or bacon or coffee or like a nice steak? Like things that are more stereotypically male scents. Chocolate chip cookies. I obviously, look, I love lavender essential oils are things that I love more than anything in life. This is not Stephen becomes weirdly sexist at the end of the episode. Not what we're doing here. Essential oils that had just like very everyday comfort scents like that, I think would just fly off the shelves.
I would love a mashed potatoes scent.
Right?
Like homemade mashed potatoes in your house, like Thanksgiving morning when you wake up and you just smell that. It's just comfort.
Right? Like biscuits. Oh my God. Movie theater popcorn, not for everybody. Something I love. Oh my God. That's what I would do.
Do you have a creative shout out for the day?
I don't. I forgot entirely.
That's okay.
I'll shout us out. We hit 100 episodes. How does it feel?
I know. Crazy. We hit 100. That's a lot of us. Here's to 100 more. Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
It took us just over 2 years to hit 100. So you have to commit to 2 more years.
Yeah, but that makes perfect sense. You say that like it was a thing. No, because if we did 1 episode a week,
yeah,
for 2 years, you're at 104 episodes. So I think we're, considering we took some time, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I think we're right on track.
I had a shout out, but you kind of just stole it. I was going to shout out Muggle and Khakis because it's our 100th episode, and you always get really excited when I start saying Muggle, and you're like, "Oh, it's not you.
It's
this time
me.
It's you.
It's never me.
It is you this time, sir."
What's the catch? What's the trick?
There's no catch. There's no trick. I am celebrating 100 episodes, and your beautifully orchestrated Instagram account. Go follow Muggle and Khakis.
Look, thank you, by the way. This is episode 100. And I think if you include a couple special episodes we did or mini things, we're probably over 100. If you've been listening to any volume of our episodes and have not yet followed either of us, what the hell are you doing? Like, not even in like a critical, what's wrong with you way. I just don't understand. So...
Yeah, like you put up with listening to us. It's much easier to consume our photos we post rather than listening.
Like, obviously, of course, please and thank you for following us. But like, if you're not following us at this point, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know, man.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for 100 episodes.
We'll see you for 101 next week.
Now, if you two don't mind, I'm going to bed before either of you come up with another clever idea to get us killed, or worse, expelled.